The toy aisle was not supposed to feel like a war. It was supposed to be a happy place, a place where children's eyes shine and hearts feel light. My little boy, Levi, was 5 years old. He was small, gentle, and quiet. He had the kind of big brown eyes that asked for permission before his hands even reached out to touch something. We had just finished buying groceries. My parents came along that day, like they always did when they wanted to watch how I spent my money. It felt less like help and more like control. As we passed through the toy aisle, Levi saw a small red fire truck sitting neatly on the shelf. It was plastic, simple, and only $5. It wasn't a fancy toy, but for Levi, it was happiness in his hands. "Mommy," he whispered softly, holding the fire truck with both hands, "can I have this?" I smiled at him. I brushed his soft curls away from his forehead and said gently, "Of course, baby. You've been so good today." I didn't even notice my father standing behind me until the shopping cart slammed into my hip. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" my father snapped loudly. His voice was sharp like a knife. People around us turned to look. I froze. Levi flinched and stepped back like he had done something wrong. "It's a $5 toy, Dad," I said quietly. $5 too much for that worthless thing," he shouted. He grabbed the toy out of Levi's hands and threw it down the aisle. Levi's little face fell. It was like watching light go out of a candle. My father's words didn't just hurt, they cut. "We came here for food," he barked. "Not to waste money on that." He didn't even say Levi's name. He said that like my son wasn't a real person. Levi stared at the floor. His lower lip trembled. Then my mother stepped forward. Her voice was sweet, but her words were sharp. "Maybe if you stopped acting like your son mattered so much, you wouldn't still be living off of us," she said. "I paid for the groceries," I said through my teeth. "I just let you use my card." Before I could say another word, her hand came down across my face. The slap was so loud it echoed down the frozen food aisle. Levi screamed. I stumbled back against the cereal boxes, my heart pounding in my chest. My cheek burned. "You're going to hit me?" I cried, holding my face. People were watching. Some had their phones out. But no one stepped in. No one ever did. My father grabbed my wrist tightly. "You don't get to talk back when we're trying to fix your disgusting behavior," he growled. "You were nothing when we raised you. You're still nothing. And you're raising that thing to be another nothing. He's your grandson." I shouted. "Not anymore," my mom hissed. "You think having a brat makes you somebody? You're still the same waste we raised. Maybe worse." Levi was shaking now, hiding behind a stack of paper towels. His little fingers gripped the plastic wrapping like it could save him. I picked him up in my arms and started walking away. My dad's voice chased after me. "We're not done. You're going to apologize." I turned to face him. "Apologize for what?" "For embarrassing us. For wasting money. For acting like you're better than you are." I didn't answer. I couldn't. My chest was on fire with anger, but inside I also felt something icy and strong. "You're lucky we let you live in our house," my mom yelled. "After you got pregnant with that mistake, we should have let you rot on the streets." After Levi was born, I worked so hard. I cleaned offices. I washed clothes. I saved every single coin. But rent was too expensive. No one wanted to rent to a young mom. So, I moved back in with my parents. I thought maybe becoming grandparents would soften them. I was wrong. At the checkout line, Levi whispered, "Mommy, was it my fault?" My heart broke. My sweet boy never asked for much. He cried quietly when he was hurt. He always hugged me after bad dreams. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. They didn't deserve even the shadow of my child. I walked past the checkout without buying a thing. I left the cart right in the middle of the aisle. Levi's toy truck lay crushed on the floor behind us. My parents were shouting, but I didn't turn back. Outside, I gently put Levi in the back seat of the car. I kissed his forehead and whispered, "We're not going back there. Not tonight. Not ever." He nodded. I started the engine. That night, I decided I wouldn't just walk away. I was going to take back my life. I stayed with an old classmate for a few days. She opened her door without asking too many questions. She gave me a warm blanket and leftover casserole. She waited until I was ready to talk. When I finally spoke, everything poured out. The years of slaps. The favoritism. How they treated me like a disease. How my little boy learned what cruelty looked like before he truly learned what love felt like. She looked at me and said something that changed me. "Why are you still trying to prove yourself to people who never even saw you?" That question broke something open inside me. My parents never called. They never sent a message. Instead, I saw pictures of their dinner parties in the family group chat. My sister showed off handbags. My dad commented, "My queen deserves the best." My mom liked every photo. Then one night, they sent a group message. "Sunday barbecue at our place. Family only. No name. No personal invite. Just the usual, expect me to show up." I stared at my son as he slept, holding the broken fire truck. And something inside me hardened. I didn't reply. I didn't block them either. I wanted them to think I was still the obedient daughter. But inside, I was already building a plan. It began with a job. My friend's uncle owned a small delivery warehouse. I worked the night shift from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. I barely slept, but I kept showing up. I used their cruelty like fuel. I pictured my mom's sneer every time she said, "You'll never survive without us." I worked harder. I saved every penny. Months passed. I got promoted. Levi started daycare and made a friend named Tyler. One day, he came home and said, "Tyler's grandma hugs him before nap time. She says he's brave." I cried quietly in the kitchen. My parents never once told me I was brave. Then one day, I looked through the peephole and saw my dad at my door. He slid a note under it. "We heard you've been working. Maybe you're finally useful. Come over. Your sister's engagement is next month. We need extra hands. Not we miss you. Not we're proud of you. Just labor. Again." And that was the moment I decided. I wouldn't just leave. I would make them remember every slap, every insult, every time they made me feel small. I waited. I watched. I learned. Everything they valued was about image. Status. How people saw them. Who smiled wider. Who obeyed. So, I became what they feared most, someone they could not control. When the engagement weekend came, I was ready. They thought they owned the story. But I had my own. The event hall was filled with flowers, champagne, and expensive decorations. I didn't come as family. I came as staff. I had signed up with the catering company through my warehouse job. My father's jaw tightened when he saw me walk through the side door. "What are you doing here?" he hissed. "Working," I said calmly. My mother smirked. "So this is what you've become. A waitress at your sister's big day." Levi stood close to me, wearing his little shirt and holding his fire truck. "Leave that thing outside," my mom whispered coldly. "He doesn't belong here." I smiled softly. "You're right," I said. "He doesn't. But you'll understand why soon." They didn't know that I had arranged the catering. I had every detail, their guest list, the menu, the unpaid invoices. I also knew they had forged donation receipts to impress the mayor. As I served appetizers, I handed the mayor's aide an envelope. Inside were copies of every fake invoice my parents had signed. I didn't need to explain much. I just said, it involves tonight's hosts. Minutes later, the mayor frowned and walked out with his aide. Then, cameras started flashing. But not at the happy couple. At the door. Where my father's voice rose. "You can't prove anything," he shouted. The mayor's voice was calm. "Then you won't mind if we audit the accounts publicly." People turned. Phones lifted. My mother's painted smile cracked. The perfect family image fell apart under the chandelier light. I walked forward with Levi's hand in mine. "You built everything on lies and humiliation," I said quietly. "Now everyone sees you the way you made me feel. Small." Mom's eyes burned with rage. "You think this makes you better than us?" "No," I said softly. "It makes me free." My father lunged forward, but one of the caterers blocked him. "Not here, sir." The crowd was silent. No one defended them. No one laughed. The next morning, the headline read, "Local couple accused of misusing charity funds. Investigation underway." There was a picture of them storming out of the hall, faces twisted in anger. Their bank accounts were frozen. Their friends stopped calling. My sister quietly canceled the wedding. I didn't throw a party. I didn't celebrate. I just went to work and picked up Levi from daycare. When he ran into my arms, he asked softly, "Are they gone for good?" I nodded. "They can't hurt us anymore." He smiled and held up his little truck. "Can I buy a new one now?" I laughed for the first time in months. "Yes, baby. You can buy 100 if you want." We went back to that same supermarket. Same aisle. Same shelves. Levi picked a bright blue fire truck this time. I paid in cash. As we left, I saw them outside through the glass doors. My parents. Arguing with each other. Smaller now. Weaker. I held Levi's hand tighter and walked past them. No words. No revenge left to serve. Just silence. Because sometimes, the strongest revenge is not shouting or fighting. It's walking away and building a life so strong that the people who tried to break you can no longer touch it. And as I held my son's hand, I knew something deep in my heart. I wasn't the weak one they raised. I was the storm they never saw coming. Please like and subscribe for more videos, also comment where you're watching from.